In 19th century Norway, Jesper Johansen is the lazy, spoiled, self-centered son of the royal postmaster general, who has enrolled Jesper into his postman training academy hoping that it will reform him, and because Jesper asked his father as a boy to work with his father. Jesper deliberately underperforms, forcing his father, who pulled every string to get Jesper into the academy, to finally send him to the distant, northern island town of Smebensburg with the task of posting 6,000 letters within a year. If Jesper fails, he will be cut off from the family's fortune and be out on the streets. Jesper sets off, facing hardships along the road and sarcastically thanking his father. Eventually, he reaches the dock, where he meets up with sarcastic ferryman Mogens WH takes him there. The town is cold and scary. Upon arriving in town, Jesper is tricked by the ferryman into ringing the town's battle bell, which allows everyone to fight. Jesper, after falling back down, rings the battle bell, which brings the two heads of the families out. After finding why Jesper is here, they laugh at him. As it turns out, he is not the first postmaster who has come to town. While Jesper tries to explain the situation, they ring the bell and back to the fight. Jesper leaves and hides out in an old school where he meets bitter teacher-turned-fishmonger Alva, who explains that the town's two family clans, the Ellingbos and the Crumbs, comprise nearly all of Smebensburg's populace and are perpetually conflicted, spending more time hating each other because of tradition. During this, Alva furiously explains her situation of taking on a teaching position in the town, but now makes a living selling fish so she can leave. Soon enough, Mogens arrives and Jesper is taken to the post office, which is basically a chicken coop and is falling apart. At first, he thinks this is a prank, but Mogens tells Jesper this is where he is staying since he is a postman. Jesper cannot adapt to his crummy new house as the place is falling apart and is the opposite of luxurious. Jesper wants to go home, but remembering what will happen decides to just get to work. After searching all over town and almost getting killed, Jesper demands to know why there are no letters, and Mogens tells him they don't need mail in town because everyone only has one thing to say to each other. While desperately searching for people to post letters, Jesper finds an isolated lumberman dwelling far outside the town. There, he discovers a reclusive woodsman named Klaus, who has a house filled with handmade toys. Terrified by Klaus' imposing appearance, Jesper flees and leaves behind a drawing he had found from one of Smebensburg's crumb children. Klaus forces Jesper to bring him to the house depicted in the drawing and then secretly deliver a toy to the boy inside, cheering him up. Word of this event spreads to other children and they go to Jesper the next day, each believing they will receive a toy if they send Klaus a letter. Jesper capitalizes on the idea and asks Klaus if he can donate his toys. Klaus agrees provided they operate at night, and Jesper continues to deliver the toys in secret. The Crumb Boy's toy leads him to play with an Ellingbo girl, much to their clan's outrage. Family elders Tammy Crumb and Axel Ellingbo each explain and show their clan's histories of hatred to both of the children, which have gone on for as long as they can remember, and find out it was Jesper and Klaus who delivered the Crumb Boy the toy. Soon, more children begin writing letters to Klaus. After learning that some of the kids can't read or write, Jesper decides that they should go to school. At first, Alva tells Jesper firmly she doesn't want anything to do with his plan, especially since she is so close to leaving. But Jesper explains that the kids need to learn and points out that was why she became a teacher at all. While still reluctant at first, Alva agrees. One morning, Jesper meets Margu, a Sami girl who wants a toy as well. However, since Jesper doesn't speak her language, he explains that she needs to write a letter first. When one kid is given coal instead of a present, Jesper tells them Klaus only gives toys to good children and knows whenever any child misbehaves. The acts of kindness they perform gradually inspire the rest of the townsfolk to end their ancient dispute, and Alva to reopen her school to help the children learn to read and write, evening using up the money she was saving. Eventually, Jesper and Klaus begin running out of toys. With Jesper's deadline approaching, he tries persuading Klaus to make more toys in time for Christmas. Klaus initially refuses, but then works with Jesper to build a sled for a small Sami girl named Margu, who lives in an isolated settlement with her people. Klaus finally tells Jesper about his wife and explains he had made the toys to give to the future children the couple hoped to have, but they couldn't conceive and Lydia died from an illness. Klaus has slowly realized their work is spreading joy to the children and agrees to the Christmas plan, with Margu and the rest of her people arriving to help. As the town and his relationship with Alva flourish, Jesper finds himself wanting to stay in Smebensburg. Meanwhile, Axel Ellingbo and Tammy Crumb form a temporary truce, wanting to stop Jesper and Klaus so that the families can resume their traditional feud. They themselves post enough letters to meet well over Jesper's target and let his father know he posted 14,000 letters. Jesper's father arrives on Christmas Eve to congratulate his son, inadvertently revealing to Jesper's friends the selfish motives behind his deeds, which he changed changed his mind about. Just before they leave town, Jesper's father notices his son's remorse, and after a private talk, he allows Jesper to stay, even telling Jesper he's proud of him. Jesper then tries to stop the elders and their angry mob from destroying the Christmas toys, but apparently fails. However, Alva had already been informed of the plot by the town's children, and so she and Klaus had replaced the toys with decoys. During the chase for the toys, Mr. Ellingbo's daughter and Mrs. Crumb's son also fall in love. Jesper is redeemed, and Smebensburg becomes a happy town, with the family elders being forced to end the feud due to the marriage of their children. Jesper marries Alva and raises 2 children himself, and he and Klaus continue to deliver presents in Smebensburg and beyond for 11 years. Then, on the 12th year, Klaus follows a wisp of wind up a sunny hill and disappears, saying he is joining his departed wife. No one knows where he went though, so they all got on with their lives but are content nonetheless. Although he is gone, Klaus lives on in Christmas stories, and so every subsequent Christmas Eve, Jesper still waits for Klaus, who returns every year to deliver toys across the world.